For 200,000 years, the night was a place of fear. The darkness belonged to the predators. It belonged to the wolves, the lions, and the unseen things that hunted our ancestors. When the sun went down, humanity huddled around fires, blind and vulnerable, waiting for the safety of the dawn. But in the last 40 years, that dynamic has been violently inverted. For the enemies of the United States, the sun is no longer a source of safety. But the night is a death sentence. In the modern battle space, the darkness does not provide cover, it provides contrast. While the insurgent or the opposing soldier is stumbling in the blackness, straining to see his own hand in front of his face, the American operator is watching him in high definition. He can see the heat rising from the enemy's collar. He can see the infrared laser dancing on the enemy's chest. He can move, shoot, and communicate as if it were high noon. This is not a fair fight. It was never designed to be. This is the doctrine of overmatch. In this tactical breakdown, we are going inside the technology and the training that allows the United States military to own the night. We will deconstruct the physics of image intensification and thermal imaging. We will analyze the $40,000 panoramic goggles used by Tier 1 operators, the invisible light wars fought with infrared lasers, and the terrifying psychology of being hunted by something you cannot see. We are going to explain why the Department of Defense spends billions of dollars to ensure that for America's enemies, the lights never turn back on. The journey into the green world begins with a fundamental understanding of light. The human eye is a miraculous biological camera, but it has limits. It requires a certain threshold of photons to register an image. Below that threshold, the rods and cones in our retina fail. We are blind. Night vision technology, or NVGS, cheats biology. It is based on a process called image intensification. The device collects the tiny, microscopic amounts of ambient light, starlight, moonlight, the distant glow of a city against the clouds. These photons enter the objective lens and strike a photocathode plate. This plate converts the light energy into electrical energy. Photons become electrons. These electrons are then accelerated through a vacuum tube and pass through a microchannel plate. This is a glass disc the size of a quarter, containing millions of microscopic holes. As the electrons pass through these channels, they multiply. One electron enters, thousands exit. This avalanche of electrons then slams into a phosphor screen at the other end of the tube. The energy release causes the phosphor to glow. That glow is the iconic green image we all recognize. Why green? Because the human eye can distinguish more shades of green than any other color. It allows for greater contrast and detail perception. But in recent years, the elite units have switched to white phosphor. It creates a monochrome black and white image that feels more natural to the brain, reduces eye strain, and creates a depth of field that green tubes cannot match. But the technology is useless without the hardware. The workhorse of the night is the PEQ-15 monocular. It is a single tube worn over one eye. It gives the soldier one eye for the night and one eye for situational awareness. It is effective, but it lacks depth perception. Walking through a rocky field with a single tube is like walking through a funhouse mirror. The ground looks flat when it is actually a hole. Stairs disappear. It requires months of training to rewire the brain to interpret the two-dimensional image as a three-dimensional world. For the elite, the standard is binocular vision. The PVS-31 twin tubes, lighter, faster, clearer. And at the very apex of the food chain, there are the GPNVG-18s, the ground panoramic night vision goggles. These are the spider eyes made famous by the raid on Osama bin Laden. Standard goggles give you a 40-degree field of view. Imagine looking through two toilet paper rolls. You have to constantly turn your head to scan a room. The panoramics use four tubes fused together to create a 97-degree field of view. The operator can clear a room with peripheral vision. He can see the threat in the corner without turning his head. These goggles cost upwards of $40,000 per unit. That is the price of a luxury car worn on a helmet. But in a close quarters battle, where reaction time is measured in milliseconds, that peripheral vision is the difference between life and death. But image intensification has a weakness. It needs some light. If you go into a deep cave or a windowless basement or a moonless night under heavy canopy, even the best tubes will struggle. The image becomes noisy, filled with static capability known as scintillation. This is where the second pillar of night warfare comes in, thermal imaging. Everything in the universe that is above absolute zero emits thermal radiation. Heat. An ice cube emits heat, a tree emits heat, and a human body burning at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit emits a massive amount of heat. Thermal optics do not see light, they see temperature differentials. To a thermal scope, a camouflage uniform is useless. You can hide in a bush, you can cover yourself in mud, you can stand in the shadows, but you cannot stop your body from radiating heat. Through a thermal imager, a human being glows like a neon ghost against the cold background of the night. The newest generation of technology fuses these two worlds. The ENVGB Enhanced Night Vision Goggle Binocular. It takes the optical clarity of the night vision tube and overlays a thermal outline on top of it. It looks like a video game. Soldiers can see the physical details of the room, the furniture, the doors, the tripwires, while simultaneously seeing the glowing orange outline of the enemy hiding behind a thin curtain or through smoke. Smoke obscures vision. Smoke obscures light. But smoke does not obscure heat. We can now shoot through obscurance that would blind a normal soldier. This dominance extends to the weapons themselves. You cannot look through a rifle scope while wearing night vision goggles. The equipment gets in the way. So how do we aim? We use infrared lasers, the PEQ-15. This is a small box mounted on the rifle. It emits a laser beam that is invisible to the naked eye, but under night vision it looks like a lightsaber, a solid beam of light stretching for miles. When a squad of U.S. Army Rangers moves on a target at night, the air is filled with these invisible beams. They use them to communicate. They circle a window with the laser to say enemy here. They flash a pattern to signal move up. They place the dot on the chest of the target and pull the trigger. It is point shooting. You don't look at the sights, you look at the laser. But this technology creates a new danger, the near-peer threat. For 20 years, the U.S. fought insurgents in Iraq and Afghanistan who had no night vision. We owned the night completely. We could walk 10 feet away from them and they wouldn't know we were there. But now, potential adversaries like Russia and China have night vision. If the enemy has goggles, they can see your laser. When you turn on your IR laser, you are pointing a giant flashlight back at yourself. This has forced a tactical evolution. Operators are now training to shoot passive. This means aiming through the optic without the laser, using high-mount risers to get the goggles behind the scope. It is harder, it is slower, but it keeps you invisible. The game of cat and mouse has evolved. Now both sides can see in the dark, so the side with the better discipline wins. The psychological impact of night operations cannot be overstated. Imagine being a sentry for a terror cell. You are standing guard in a remote valley. It is pitch black. You feel safe because you can't see anything, so you assume nothing can see you. You hear a buzzing sound like a swarm of angry bees. That is the sound of a raid. The helicopters used by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, are flown by pilots wearing the most advanced aviation night vision in the world. They fly nap of the Earth. This means flying 10 feet off the ground at 150 miles per hour in total darkness. They navigate between trees under power lines and through valleys using only the green glow of their tubes. To the enemy on the ground, the raid seems to materialize out of thin air. One moment there is silence. The next, there are 40 operators in your compound. They move with unnatural speed. They don't use flashlights. They don't stumble. They flow through the darkness like water. The psychological terror of fighting an enemy you cannot see but who can see you perfectly breaks the will to fight. It induces panic, and panic makes you predictable. But the night is not just about eyes, it is about confusion. We use the night to mask our numbers. We use infrared strobes flashing on top of our helmets to identify friend from foe. These are called IFF markers, identify friend or foe. To the naked eye, the helmet looks dark. Through goggles, it is flashing a bright, distinct code. This prevents fratricide blue on blue. It allows air support. An AC-130 gunship circling at 10,000 feet to see exactly where the good guys are before raining down 105mm shells on the bad guys. The cost of this capability is staggering. To outfit a single infantry platoon with PVS-31s, PEQ-15 lasers, and thermal sights costs millions of dollars. The batteries alone, thousands of lithium batteries consumed every deployment, are a logistical nightmare. The goggles are fragile. If you drop a set of Panoramics, you have just destroyed a Ferrari. The tubes burn out. The phosphor degrades. And yet the investment is non-negotiable. Because the alternative is a fair fight, and the United States military does not want a fair fight. We want an unfair advantage. We want to control every variable. The sun is a variable we cannot control. The night is a variable we can conquer. Training to fight under nods, night optical devices, is a skill that degrades quickly. It requires constant practice. Walking is different. Your depth perception is off by a few inches. You think the ground is closer than it is. You trip. You hit your head on door frames. Beginners look like drunks stumbling around. Operators spend hundreds of hours just walking through forests, walking up stairs, driving vehicles with the lights off using only night vision. This is called blacking out. Driving a Humvee at 40 miles per hour on a winding dirt road with no headlights is a terrifying test of trust in technology. One slip, one failure of the tube, and you drive off a cliff. The future of night vision is even more sci-fi. We are moving toward augmented reality. The IVAS system, Integrated Visual Augmentation System. It is a headset that combines night vision, thermal, and a heads-up display. It projects a map onto the soldier's eye. It projects the reticle of his weapon so he can shoot around a corner without exposing his head. It allows him to see through the cameras on the outside of an armored vehicle while sitting inside. It is turning the soldier into a cyborg. But for all the technology, for all the billions of dollars and silicon chips, the essence of night warfare remains primal. It is about fear. It is about the ancient human instinct to hide when the sun goes down. The American soldier does not hide, he waits. He waits for the sun to dip below the horizon. He waits for the shadows to lengthen. He waits for the enemy to feel that false sense of security that comes with the dark. And then he flips the lever on his helmet. A faint electronic whine fills his ears. The world turns green, the stars explode into view, and the hunt begins. In the history of warfare, armies fought from sunrise to sunset. Battles were decided by daylight. The United States changed the rules. We turned the clock off. We turned the darkness into a weapon. So the next time you look out into the night and see nothing but blackness, remember, that is an illusion. The night is alive. It is teeming with information, with heat, with light that your eyes are too weak to register. And somewhere in that darkness, there is a 19-year-old kid from Ohio or Texas or California. He is wearing $40,000 of glass on his face. He is watching. He is waiting. And he owns the night. This analysis of night vision technology is just a glimpse into the hardware of modern war. The technology is evolving faster than we can track. Digital night vision is on the horizon, promising color images in near-total darkness. If you want to see a breakdown of the specific gear loadouts of Tier 1 operators or the physics of long-range thermal sniping, hit that subscribe button. We are illuminating the shadows. Leave a comment below. Would you trust your life to a battery-powered view of the world? Or do you trust your own eyes?